That's very important for us to be aware of. It's important for us to read the scriptures, asking ourselves, I'm going to try to notice what Jesus is noticing. What is Jesus paying attention to here? It's all the more important for us now because we live in a culture that is always distracting us, that's always saying, look over here, look over here. Here's what you need to pay attention to. Look at this, pay attention to this. Don't look over there, don't pay attention to that. We'll tell you what to pay attention to. We live in a culture that's always trying to get us to say, it's always saying to us, sure, there's a great, vast reality, but here's the slice of it we want you to pay attention to. This is what counts, this little slice of reality. And it's all the more important in an election year when it gets crazier than ever and everybody's telling us this is the little slice of reality we want you to pay attention to. And especially then it's important on this day, this anniversary of 9/11, when people are also on the media or telling us what to pay attention to about 9/11. Here's the part you should notice. Now, so it's very, very important for us to remember that we have Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ is the model of what to pay attention to. He's the model of what counts and what is important in life, and that part of reality that God most focuses on, and God says, this is the most important thing, this is the thing that we need to pay attention to, because this is what I'm interested in. And so Jesus shows us how to look at the world with the eyes of God, and to say, this is what God is most interested in here. And I know that because Jesus noticed the same thing. So we need to pay attention to what Jesus noticed. That we know real easily, without doing a lot of research, two things that Jesus noticed. One was pain. Jesus noticed pain. He could not be around people without noticing people who had needs. He noticed their pain. He never did what you and I do. We hide from other people's pain and from our own pain. We fill up our lives with extravagant, silly talk and with frantic running around and distractions so that we don't have to notice the pain of the world. Or we don't have to notice our own pain. Jesus never, ever, ever did that. Jesus noticed the pain around him. But the other thing that Jesus noticed, and that is what is brought out in our gospel reading today, is that Jesus noticed joy. Did you catch that in the readings? They're about joy. Jesus noticed joy so much that he gave us two stories about people who rejoiced, who there was just an overflowing and a bubbling up of rejoicing in their hearts, and they had to notice the joy within their lives. And it's the joy especially of something lost being found. It's that incredible joy of something that's so valuable and holy to us and being lost. And we know we experience the loss of it, the hole in our lives, and then we find it, and then there is this incredible joy that says, welcome home. This is what you were made for. This is the fulfillment of who you are. You got lost, but now you're found. Jesus noticed that joy. And you and I lose all kinds of things all the time. We're like the people in the first reading, the stiff-necked people. I've got kind of a crink in my neck from being stiff-necked. I don't know if any of you others, maybe I'm the only stiff-necked person here, but I got kind of a permanent crick in mine. We lose things all the time. We lose ourselves. We lose our best selves. We lose track of who our best self is, and we become the self that we don't want to be. We can lose our integrity in an instant. We can lose our holiness. We can lose our authenticity. We can lose our direction in life. We can lose the direction that our life is moving in, and we know the movement is going in that direction and I need to go there. We can lose our honesty. We can lose our love and our care. We can lose our attention. We can lose our place. We lose things about ourselves all the time. And what Jesus is saying to us in our gospel today is notice the joy when you find yourself again, when you find your true direction of your life, when you find your integrity again, when you get found when God draws you back into the love of God and you find what was lost. Notice the joy. Notice the deep down rightness of it that bubbles up, and you say, I have to rejoice. That's what Jesus is saying to us in our gospel. Because the joy in our lives, and the truth is, you and I are better at noticing the pain than the joy. I think that's absolutely the truth. We're much better at noticing pain. Do we even notice the joy in our hearts? Not at Jesus. And it's hard to notice the joy because it is so easy for us to mistake joy for excitement. Oh, exciting. And the ego-ness of personal pleasure and just feeling good. But that's not joy. Joy is that deeper thing where we say, I have found that's what I was made for. Deep down, that's what I was made for. I'm home. I've been embraced by God back into the place I need to be that I lost. That's different than excitement, than the mere excitement and mere pleasure. And yet we live in a culture that wants to distract us forever with excitement and pleasure, so we never get to the deep joy, the deep down joy of this is what I was made for. This is it. This is what my life is about. This is where God has me. And so we need to notice the joy. We need to notice the scriptures when Jesus talks about joy, and he does it all the time. And we need to notice the joy in our own lives, because when we notice the joy in our own lives, we're getting in touch with something that God is doing in our life. Joy is the sign that God is at work right there. That's where God's at work. That's where we've been welcomed home and embraced by the love of God again. So we need to get into the habit of noticing the joy in our lives. That's God talking to us. That's God at work. But that's not only true about our own lives, it's true about our families. Do we know where the joy is in our lives? Do we know where the joy is in our families? That says this is where God is working in our family? And do we know the joy in our parish? And so right now I'm going to invite Kevin Lovejoy to come forward. Kevin is going to give us a report on the state of our parish. And I want you to notice the joy in our parish that says that's where God's at work, because there's joy here. And so Kevin and our staff and our pastoral councils have been working on trying to discern where is the joy and the pain in our parish, and where is God leading us.
No real graceful way to get up here on crutches, but I'm still joyful. Good morning. This time last year, when I presented the parish annual report, we didn't quite know what the coming year had in store for St. Patrick's Parish. A new model of leadership with a lay pastoral coordinator, a team of 3 Jesuit priests to celebrate our liturgies and other sacraments, the departure of a very beloved pastor of 20 years gave us some cause for concern. But as Archbishop Sarton knew and trusted, we kept our faith, knowing that God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit was remaining here in this space, right here with us. And by keeping our faith in God and one another alive, we discovered that life, in fact, does go on, and that we are making this new model here at St. Patrick's work. We know that St. Pat's can be the church, as Deacon Bill likes to say, and that we can do it quite well. Our liturgies, for example, the heart and soul of how we gather and pray as community, are thoughtful, inspiring, musical masterpieces, and most of all, purposeful. Our Jesuit priests and Deacon Bill share with us homilies and reflections that we haven't necessarily heard before, or in quite the same manner, as you heard today, about trying to focus on what Jesus paid attention to while he was here. Or they sometimes ask us to look at the routine events of our day-to-day lives from a different perspective, encouraging us to experience and understand a heightened awareness of God's presence in everything and everyone around us. So we are grateful for their willingness to serve us in this community in the celebration of the sacraments. Our parish staff has also risen to the challenge of dealing with a new boss. That would be me. And I've continually asked them for more and more, and they have readily accepted this additional responsibility to oversee the programs and guide the ministry groups that offer all of us the means and the opportunity to become more deeply involved in our faith and in our relationship with one another. So for their willingness to serve the Lord in this community through our religious programs and ministry groups, we are grateful for our staff. And for you, our parishioners, you have responded to the call for greater lay leadership of our parish. As pastoral coordinator, one of my responsibilities is to coordinate people and resources, but it's you in the pews who do the heavy lifting of being church. And you have responded again just as Archbishop Sarton believed and trusted you would when he made this pastoral change. So to the 100 plus lectors, Eucharistic ministers, choir singers, altar servers, Bible studiers, catechists, to the 14 of you who ran for the Pastoral Council this past spring, and to the 12 volunteers for our new Stephen Ministry Group, people who are committing themselves to 70 hours of training and then 2 years of providing pastoral care and companionship to fellow parishioners, I say thank you. And I could go on with those kinds of thanks, but let's simply end with all of our parishioners who have answered this call to Christ. We are thankful for your service to our community. And I tell you, it's been incredibly encouraging and uplifting for me to see all of this, our clergy, our staff, our parishioners, all accepting this responsibility to be the kind of parish Christ is calling us to be. And so I asked myself, what exactly is the kind of parish that Jesus is calling St. Pat's to be? Well, after a year of gathering data and listening to parishioners, staff, ministry groups, and councils, and our commissions here, let me share what the parish long-range planning team sees Christ calling us to be. We are a church that strives to live and act as Jesus lived and acted. We are a church who invites all to the table, to come and see, to encounter a caring God and a caring community. We are a church who encourages all, when they are ready, to row into the deeper waters of our faith and personal relationship with Jesus and one another. And we are a church who ultimately forms disciples and journeys with them as we answer Christ's call to proclaim that gospel message to others that we ourselves are so blessed to have received right here at St. Pat's. This is the direction our parish long-range planning team has discerned for St. Pat's. To become this kind of church, we've identified 3 priorities for our community to focus on the next 2 to 3 years. Our first priority is to be invitational, to invite all to the table, to come and see, opening our doors to the lost, such as we heard about today, the lost sheep, the lapsed, the downtrodden, or simply those curious about their faith. This is who Christ invited to the banquet, and this is who we want to invite to our banquet here at St. Patrick's. Second, we hope to encourage those of us already at the banquet, those of us filling the pews already here today, to row into the deeper waters, to continue to learn more about our faith than what we may have learned in grade school, high school, or college, and to discover how to live that faith beyond the hour we spend here at Mass together. And our third priority is to come together and grow as a community that shares the good news of the gospel, a community that evangelizes. I know that's kind of a scary word for Catholics, evangelization. I know it makes me nervous. Excuse me. But if we feel truly blessed and grateful for the faith that we have in our hearts here today, we must recognize it for what it is, an undeserved grace from God. He gave his love and mercy and forgiveness to all of us, and now calls us to share it in our homes and in the world. That's why I really love the theme that Chris Gavin and the school have selected for this year, responding to the call of Christ. Responding to the call of Christ. Exactly how we choose to respond to that call is up to each of us, but together we can and will respond. In a couple of ways, the parish and school are responding already. In terms of finances, we are being transparent and fiscally responsible during these challenging financial times. In today's bulletin, you'll find a summary of our finances, which reflect the reality of what it takes financially to be the kind of parish Christ is calling us to be. Information will also be available on the website, and I'm more than happy to discuss details with anyone who would like to do so. Our school is also thriving. Enrollment, the richness of the educational programs we offer, morale, are all on the rise after several challenging years for the school. Why the turnaround? We think it's good people and good planning. 4 years ago, we developed a strategic plan for the school that approached the solution from a longer 3 to 5 year perspective, as opposed to cutting programs and seeking immediate short-term solutions. We invested in good people like Chris Gavin and other new teachers to complement the strength and experience of our existing faculty and staff. And this 3 to 5 year approach has worked. Our school finished in the black last year and passed its first balanced budget in several years for the upcoming year. So if you want to see a school on the move, come visit Chris and the staff down the hill. And our parish is taking a similar long-term approach. In recent bulletins, I highlighted our budget deficit for the past year, and more importantly, the long-standing decline in church attendance, 20% over the last 10 years. About 200 people a week less coming to Mass than we had 10 years ago. It's clear that our traditional ways of being church need improvement. Cultural Catholicism needs some help. We can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results, as you've heard many times, I think, from this pulpit. But the fact we can't keep doing the same thing isn't necessarily a bad thing. It simply means we have to be creative. And here's what Pope Francis has to say about creativity. The parish is not an outdated institution. Precisely because it possesses great flexibility, it can assume quite different contours depending on the openness and missionary creativity of the pastor and the community. If the parish proves capable of self-renewal and constant adaptivity, it continues to be the church living in the midst of the homes of her sons and daughters. So to be the kind of parish Christ calls us to be, one that our sons and daughters and their sons and daughters will continue to be a part of, we must follow Pope Francis's call to creatively renew ourselves and adapt to our circumstances. So briefly, what are we doing at the parish to creatively renew ourselves and to become the parish Christ calls us to be? First, we have shifted and strengthened our parish resources to increase communications and evangelization to reach out to those who have not yet joined us at the table. And again, that's through our website, through our social media, through our bulletins. We've also focused attention on generating the resources we need to be the kind of church Christ is calling us to be. We restructured all 5 of our councils and commissions this past summer, calling for all of them to now meet on one night of the month, first separately and then collectively. And we feel this will foster greater sharing of information and enable the 5 commissions to more intentionally work together as a team to accomplish our mission of being church. And we also established, again, our parish long-range planning team that has helped us create a vision and these priorities for our parish. And the vision that is emerging is a parish who knows Jesus and lives the mission he has given us with compassion and care. A parish who invites others to come home to God, to come to his table, and to be a part of this community. So let me close by simply emphasizing that being the parish Christ calls us to be means taking that first step, which is to be invitational. At its basic level, I would ask you, all of you, to consider inviting someone to the table who might benefit from that invitation. At a slightly different level, consider inviting someone you already know here at the table to venture into deeper water with you, whatever form that might take. And if we take these first steps, we'll soon realize that we are in fact evangelizing, whether we're aware of it or not, helping us grow our community into the parish Christ is calling us to be. We have so much to be thankful for at St. Pat's. Let us show our gratitude through our actions, through our response to the call of Christ. Thank you very much.